Well, hello, my YouTube brothers and sisters. Today has been an eventful day for me. I'm happy to report that no black van has showed up outside my door and whisked me away to some godforsaken site. So I'm grateful for small miracles. I would still like to know what happened to Michael Trim, and the whole thing is still pretty weird. But my YouTube videos, I think my channel's still up as far as I know, and I'm incredibly grateful to all of the new subscribers that I have gotten. Particularly today, my spirits soared because none other than Green Party presidential candidate Jill Stein subscribed to the Vegematic channel. So that kind of put me in a very happy frame of mind today, because Jill is somebody I totally respect. Dr. Stein is the only sensible candidate running in the American farce of an election. And of course they are doing everything possible to suppress anything she says. They are doing anything possible to destroy her ability to even appear in the debates. Now, you're talking about a few candidates and third-party candidates. As far as that goes, I mean, there are none other than Jill Stein, because libertarian? Are you kidding me? Libertarian? Are you insane? So I am very humbled and grateful to have Jill Stein as a subscriber to this cranky old Canadian socialist. Thank you. What is it about dynastic rule? What is it about the Clintons and the Bushes? And at what point did Americans lose control of their democracy? Was it while they were being entertained endlessly by vacuous, mind-numbing television?
Ask your mama or ask her dad. Drink a little water. Take the doctor's pill.
How did a great country become the decline and fall of the Roman Empire? And okay, I'm an older man, and I can remember a time when I was 19 years old. Yeah, that was quite a few years ago, and it was 1976, so you can do the math on that. And I hitchhiked from one end of America to the other, from my home in Montreal, now to San Francisco, to Florida, all over the place. And I was treated with such kindness, and it was a time in America where I think America had been chastened by Vietnam, by Watergate, and had become a more gentle and caring society. 1980 seemed to change everything, at least in my life, and I'm a Canadian, so I have a slightly different perspective, but the world changed with the advent of so-called supply side economics, when social programs were cut, when the war on drugs had begun. America lost its way. They were brainwashed by a horrendous media operation that, as I recall, in the 80s was at some sort of a fever pitch of insanity. The media had co-opted Nancy Reagan's message of just say no, And it's too bad that Nancy couldn't have just said no to the horrendous destruction of the basic rights of a democratic society. And everybody cut their hair. I mean, maybe everybody was tired of having too much of a good time in the 70s and they decided they needed some kind of discipline. Sort of like America now, only America now, it's much more critical. For God's sakes, we're sitting on the verge of climate catastrophe. Refugees are flooding around the world due to insane foreign policy objectives and globalization and this insane desire to completely control the proletariat by means of finance. We've watched as elite members of society have completely subverted any of the defenses of the American Constitution which they believed to be their birthright, which indeed was their birthright, but slowly and surreptitiously they gave up that birthright. Americans gave up that birthright, that freedom, that sense of freedom. And when I traveled in America in 1976 from coast to coast, it was a wonderful time. In some cases, perhaps history has been rewritten and saying that the 70s was a horrible decade of, stagflation and no, I mean, people were better off. Come on. Compared to now, compared to what happened in the 80s when so many workers were disenfranchised, when unions were broken up. I mean, it's important to remember that one of the first acts Reagan did as president was to bust the air traffic controllers union. And it went downhill from there, and the inequality began. Accelerated under faux progressive Bill Clinton, who is, as far as I'm concerned, morally repugnant. The entire Clinton political machine reeks of corruption. The entire Clinton and Bush machines are melded. America has become a one-party state. How have people allowed corporations to subvert their will for so many years? A lot of it has to do with the mindless television programming that repeats endlessly lies and distortions. And as the media began to completely conglomerate over the last 40 years, it became evident that no longer was there any journalistic integrity left in America. America was lost to democracy. So what do people do now? Of course, anyone with good conscience cannot vote for either the Hill Artillery Wall Street Party or the Trumponian plutocratic party. But it's all one party. When Hillary Clinton is involved with the neocons, the people involved with Project for a New American Century, and it's all of them. It's President Obama, sadly, who was nothing but a media campaign, a symbol, a distraction from the neoliberal policies that he would go on to implement the moment he came into office. So why am I saying all this? Because it's just a lifetime of experience and a lifetime of thought, of political thought, a lifetime of watching as freedoms were stripped away from not just Americans, but all of us, and put under surveillance, when everything became massively controlled, more laws, more control over thought, over people's actions. It's become so Orwellian that I'm afraid that it is impossible for us to extract ourselves from this corporate juggernaut that has taken over every aspect of society, from the judicial branch of government to law enforcement. It's all connected. The prison industrial, disgustingly corrupt complex. It must be stopped. People of color routinely shot down in the streets, executed by so-called law enforcement officials who more often than not face no repercussions. This is not civilization anymore. This is not democracy. This is a corporate plutocracy. All you need to do is look at the Dakota Access Pipeline demonstrations and the brave Native brothers and sisters standing against these idiots, these fascists with dogs, with mace, for wanting clean water for us all, so we know how far we have sunk as a civilization when brown shirts that are privately employed by Enbridge Corporation do not have anything to do with this disgusting satanic organization, Enbridge. Pipelines, pipelines, pipelines. They don't give a shit. I live in Canada. The heat and humidity here in September are off the charts. It's nothing like the Canada I grew up in, when the autumn chill would begin at this time of year. Record amounts of rainfall in various areas. Glaciers are melting. And what are we concerned with? What is the American government concerned with? Empire, maintaining the military-industrial complex that has raped the entire country for generations, has stolen the potential of the people of America for generations. I'm Vegematic. I'm concerned. Thank you to all the good people that have subscribed to me. I'm truly moved. And thank you, Ms. Stein, for actually subscribing and listening to this old Canadian socialist fool that likes to rant on YouTube. Be well, everybody. Stay safe. And try and rescue democracy.